Hi, my name is Lara and welcome to my channel, Inner Goddess Guidance. I created this channel for people who are doing the work of self-healing on their path to self-mastery. I am a divine feminine on the twin flame path. I was a teacher, I am a personal coach, and I myself have been on a healing journey now for 2 years. This is a part of my mission, and it is the way that I am serving the collective. I make videos that focus around single topics that come to me often as promptings from spirit. Currently, I am working with a wonderful group of divine feminines in a Facebook group to create oracle decks as a part of our healing journey. And after individual decks are created, we are going to create one collective deck then to have produced and to share with the world. So if you would like to join that group, there is a link in the description box, and we welcome you in at any time to join the journey. All of the videos that I'm doing right now are themed according to one topic that is the title of the card that we are creating. And I'm creating these videos not as an expert. I don't feel like an expert. I feel like I'm somebody on the same healing path. I feel like because of some tools and experiences that I've had and a certain way of looking at things, that I delve deeply like a scholar would into thoughts. It's just my nature. And so in doing this work, I'm hoping that these videos really spark you to think deeply, slow down, become mindful of the journey, hold yourself accountable for the behaviors in your daily life that are going to get you toward your ultimate achievement, which is to achieve divine love for yourself and for others in your lifetime. So the topic that was chosen in the group for today, for this video, was the topic of trust. And I've been exploring that for a few days on my own, and I've come up with a few wonderful resources for you. The first resource is going to be pinned in the comments section. It is a video about a woman who adopted a wild horse and the process that she went through in befriending the horse. We could say taming. That is a word that's going to come up here in a minute. But her process of really getting that horse to trust her and then to befriend her, and now they're amazing, you know. The video was put out by a group called Soulmates. So it's kind of cute to think of them as soulmates, that they've made this bond, the two of them, through their journey in building trust. So I'm going to pin that. And then I awakened this morning with the realization that there is a piece of The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And The Little Prince is a beautiful book. If you haven't read it, I suggest you do. It comes across as a children's story. But you know, when we go back and we read something with the eyes of an adult and the understanding of an adult, let alone a twin flame, we read things and understand them differently. The Little Prince is well worth another read. It is beautifully written, a sweet story, but also pretty deep in some of the topics that it touches on. And I was realizing this morning when I awakened that there is a section of the book, it's actually chapter 21, where some of my most favorite quotes come from. And so for those of you who haven't read The Little Prince, it's a story about a little boy who is discovered in the Sahara Desert by a pilot who has wrecked his plane. And here he comes across this little kid that shouldn't be there, and he's like, "Where'd you come from?" And the child is from his own little planet, his asteroid. And he tells the man, the pilot, his story. And the person who's now narrating and writing the story is the pilot. So this little boy has traveled from planet to planet, and he's having all kinds of adventures, and he's now on planet Earth. So I've selected pieces from chapter 21, and if you don't want to listen to it read, I will also timestamp so that you can skip this part. Yeah, so here's chapter 21, and I'll let you know when I'm skipping over sections because I didn't want to, have to read the whole thing. So in this chapter, the little prince meets a fox. I know, in the desert. You got to suspend belief. Okay. And the little boy, the fox starts talking to the little boy, the little prince, and the prince is talking back. And he says to the fox, "Come and play with me," proposed the little prince. "I'm so unhappy." "I can't play with you," the fox said. "I'm not tamed." "Oh, please excuse me," said the little prince. But after some thought, he added, "What does that mean, tame?" And then I'm skipping. "I'm looking for friends." "What does that mean, tame?" "It's an act too often neglected," said the fox. "It means to establish ties." "To establish ties?" "Just that," said the fox. "To me, you're still nothing more than a little boy who's like 100,000 other little boys, and I have no need of you. And you, on your part, have no need of me. To you, I'm nothing more than a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, then we shall need each other. To me, you'll be unique in all the world. To you, I shall be unique in all the world." "I'm beginning to understand," said the little prince. "There's a flower. I think she has tamed me." "It's possible," said the fox. "On earth, one sees all sorts of things." "Oh, but this is not on the earth," said the little prince. The fox seemed perplexed and very curious. "On another planet?" "Yes." "Are there hunters on that planet?" "No." "Ah, that's interesting. Are there chickens?" "No." "Nothing's perfect," sighed the fox. But he came back to his idea. "My life's very monotonous," he said. "I hunt chickens, men hunt me, all chickens are just alike, all men are just alike, and in consequence, I'm a little bored. But if you tame me, it'll be as if the sun came to shine in my life. I shall know the sound of a step that'll be different from all the others. Other steps send me hurrying back underneath the ground. Yours will call me like music out of my burrow. And then look, you see the grain fields down yonder? I do not eat bread. Wheat is of no use to me. The wheat fields have nothing to say to me. And that is sad. But you have hair that is the color of gold. Think how wonderful it will be when you have tamed me. The grain which is also golden will bring me back to the thought of you. And I shall love to listen to the wind in the wheat." The fox gazed at the little prince for a long time. "Please, tame me," he said. "I want to very much," the little prince replied, "but I've not much time. I've friends to discover and a great many things to understand." "One only understands the things one tames," said the fox. "Men have no more time to understand anything. They buy things already made at the shops, but there's no shop anywhere where one can buy friendship. And so men have no friends anymore. If you want a friend, tame me." "What must I do to tame you?" asked the little prince. "You must be very patient," replied the fox. "First, you'll sit down at a little distance from me, like that, in the grass. I shall look at you out of the corner of my eye, and you will say nothing. Words are the source of misunderstandings. But you'll sit a little closer to me every day." The next day the little prince came back. "It would have been better to come back at the same hour," said the fox. "If, for example, you came at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then at 3 o'clock, I shall begin to be happy. I shall feel happier and happier as the hour advances. At 4 o'clock, I shall be worrying and jumping about. I shall show you how happy I am. But if you come at just any time, I shall never know at what hour my heart is to be ready to greet you. One must observe the proper rites." "What's a rite?" asked the little prince. "Those are also actions too often neglected," said the fox. "They're what makes one day different from other days, one hour different from other hours. There's a rite, for example, among my hunters. Every Thursday they dance with the village girls. So Thursday's a wonderful day for me. I can take a walk as far as the vineyards. But if the hunters danced at just any time, every day would be like every other day, and I should never have any vacation at all." So the little prince tamed the fox. And when the hour of his departure drew near, "Ah," said the fox, "I shall cry." "It's your own fault," said the little prince. "I never wished you any sort of harm, but you wanted me to tame you." "Yes, that is so," said the fox. "But now you're going to cry," said the little prince. "Yes, that is so," said the fox. "Then it has done you no good at all." "It has done me good," said the fox, "because of the color of the wheat fields." And then he added, "Go and look again at the roses. You'll understand now that yours is unique in all the world." So the little prince has a rose on his planet, and she's special, even though there's a lot of things that, a lot of conflicts the two of them have, let's just say. But he's left his rose, and he sort of misses his rose, and then he comes across all these other roses and realizes that even though on his planet there's only one rose, there's like all these other roses on Earth, so she's not so special after all, he thinks. So now the fox is telling him to go back and look at those roses again. "Go back and look again at the roses. You'll understand now that yours is unique in all the world. Then come back to say goodbye to me, and I will make you a present of a secret." The little prince went away to look again at the roses. "You're not at all like my rose," he said. "As yet you are nothing. No one has tamed you, and you have tamed no one. You're like my fox when I first knew him. He was only a fox like 100,000 other foxes, but I have made a friend, and now he's unique in all the world." And the roses were very much embarrassed. "You're beautiful, but you're empty," he went on. "One could not die for you. To be sure, an ordinary passerby would think that my rose looked just like you, the rose that belongs to me, but in herself alone she's more important than all the hundreds of you other roses, because it is she that I have watered, because it is she that I have put under a glass globe, because it is for her that I have killed caterpillars, except the 2 or 3 we saved to become butterflies, because it is she that I have listened to when she grumbled or boasted, or even sometimes when she said nothing, because she is my rose." And he went back to meet the fox. "Goodbye," he said. "Goodbye," said the fox. "And now here's my secret. It's a very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye." The little prince repeated, "What is essential is invisible to the eye," so that he would make sure to remember. It is the time you have wasted for your rose that makes your rose so important. It is the time I have wasted for my rose, said the little prince, so that he would be sure to remember. Men have forgotten this truth, said the fox, but you must not forget it. You become responsible forever for that which you have tamed. You are responsible for your rose. I am responsible for my rose, the little prince repeated, so that he would be sure to remember. So I selected that because of some of the pieces that come out. You know, in considering trust, I thought, well, you know, here are some questions anyway that I considered that you might consider. I thought, well, what comes to mind immediately when I think of trust? And I thought about feelings and people and situations. I considered what makes a person worthy of my trust and what makes a person untrustworthy. And I thought about when I had trusted myself and when I had not trusted myself. I thought about trust in the future or trust in the divine, times when I have, times when I haven't, and how that impacts me. But I finally landed on this idea through the video and through the writing and through a lot of the thoughts I had, that trust is built over time. What I feel with the divine is faith. And although I do have faith in people and faith in humanity, trust, I was differentiating for me that trust is something that is earned much the same way that the little prince tames the fox. It's about an investment of time. It's about a safety that is created between two people to be honest and truthful and to be authentic. And that it is a process for me that deepens over time. And once a basic sense of trust is achieved, it's kind of hard to break that. Usually, peripherally, things can happen, but on a basic level, that trust is still there. So I was thinking about the safety aspect. You know, the woman who's taming the wild horse, she spent, I don't know how many hours just sitting in that pen, just getting the horse accustomed to her presence, showing through her behavior that she was trustworthy. She didn't expect the horse to trust her right away, as I don't think I expect a stranger to trust me right away. I mean, sometimes I do trust in general, like I have a basic trust. So for example, if I got up from my seat and there was some people sitting around, you know, sometimes I go out and I might recognize some people. And I might say, can you watch my seat for me? Or can you, make sure my coat is still here or something. But even in that situation, I wouldn't leave my valuables. I wouldn't leave my purse because I don't have that relationship established with those people. But that's different if it's a friend of mine. I wouldn't hesitate to leave my purse because I know that person and I trust that person. We've established a relationship over time. It's very easy for me to trust the divine. What's there not to trust, really, right? The challenge for me is in trusting other people. And to notice when I'm trusting and when I'm not trusting. What are the blocks in me that are keeping me from trusting? A truly healthy, loving relationship has to be built on trust. And it also doesn't happen overnight. I don't think that even in a twin flame relationship, you recognize each other as twin flames and you're bam in a relationship, hot and heavy, that there's any reason that you should logically trust that person. You might intuitively trust that person, but largely I think trust is a construct that we build over time as we can expose ourselves more authentically to somebody. And when I consider my relationships in the past, and really every relationship, I'm just going to say every relationship that I've ever had in the past, even though I could trust somebody, let's say with my purse, or I could trust somebody not to hurt me, or those kinds of things, I kept some parts of me hidden because I didn't trust that I could be authentic and have the space held. If I expose this part of myself, then I might not be wanted, or I might be rejected, or that might be unacceptable or unattractive. And so with the deepening of a relationship, even in a twin flame relationship, over time we build the trust because we create the safety. We invest the time and we create the safety. But there's a mutuality that happens. Both people have to create the safer and safer space. So that, let's say if you get in an argument, you don't think that that's the end of the relationship. Or if you share a truth that is deep within you that you feel will, you yourself feel afraid to share. If you expose that truth to them, that they won't abandon you or say, look at you, you're crazy, or whatever. That you won't be rejected for that. And I think I'm still learning the two pieces. One, how to create a safe space in my relationship for whoever is in my life to be honest and truthful with me, to feel safe, to trust me. And then I am learning to make it clear about what that safe place needs to be like in order for me to feel safe to trust another. And so this particular term, trust, is tied for me to some other really big terms. It's tied to confidence. It's tied to shadow work, or understanding and accepting our own shadow. It's tied to self-love. It's tied to false masks that we wear. It's tied to ego. It's tied to truth and authenticity. So one of the things that struck me when I was rereading the chapter from The Little Prince had to do with this investment of time. I hear a lot of people in comments, or sometimes, you know, and it's not necessarily twin flame stuff, but I think the fear that people have sometimes is that if they don't quote unquote come into union or have some sort of healthy relationship with their twin, that they've wasted their time. But this part of The Little Prince where the fox says, you know, when I look at the wheat field, it'll be forever changed because the wheat will remind me of your hair. And no footstep, I'll be able to tell your footsteps from every other footstep because of the time that we invested and the trust we built between us and the authenticity that we had. That you'll forever be with me, right? And I know that technically that's true about anybody that comes into our life and any relationship we have. But honestly, the more authentic we are in them, the more we do hold that tender space, even when the person's apart from us. Things do remind us of them. They are unique in all the world. There's nobody like them. And so people meet their twin flame and they go their separation, they go their ways and they go into separation. They might each both get married to different people who they love, but they never forget each other. They can't. Because they know that that authenticity in that relationship was unique in all the world. And I was thinking very much about trust, and there is something about trusting when we expose ourselves to anybody or give our love to anybody. That's a very vulnerable place to be. You know, it's easy to be in a relationship that is just about dating. When you walk away, you don't really miss them. Even if you enjoyed them a lot, but you don't feel the pain. And so I think, you know, in some ways, when divine love comes around, and that, the reality of that, for some people is pretty mind-boggling. Because maybe there are trust issues. And oh my gosh, now that's triggering all of that. I have this desire, but I have these trust issues, and now what am I going to do? I'm going to run, or I'm going to do what I always do because I don't know what else to do. Because I've never felt that before. And I don't want to miss you. I don't want to be missed, and I don't want to miss you. So yeah, those are the things I was thinking about. And understanding that I'm still learning and navigating through my trust issues. When I recognize that I want to be deceptive or hold back, that is a time for me to take a minute and pause and reflect for myself. I'm not saying I should be totally authentic and truthful with every single person in the world. They don't need to know me that deeply. But when it comes to really important relationships in my life, when I'm holding back, when I am apt to not reveal something or not say something that is my truth, right? What is it that I'm not trusting? Or where does that mistrust come from? Has the person done something? Have I seen something in the behavior that tells me that I can't trust them? Maybe in some situation I tried, I exposed myself a little bit, and the reaction I got was not a reaction I want to see again. So now I'm going to hold back. Because in that building of relationship, that building of trust, just like the little prince was coming closer and closer to the fox every day, right? If in coming closer and closer to the fox suddenly lashed out and bit him, the little prince wouldn't want to get closer to the fox. Or if the little prince suddenly, tried to grab the fox or something and it scared the fox, then the fox you'd have to kind of start and build that whole trust thing all over. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that I realize that there's two people involved in the building of the trust, that there's making space for safety as well as being willing to expose. And there's a mutuality. Both people have to make that space. And both people have to be exposing themselves similarly, capable of the same kind of exposure, right? There's got to be a mutuality about it. So those are some thoughts that I thought about when it came to trust. I don't think sometimes when I explore these ideas, I feel like, oh, there's one way to be. There's I'm supposed to figure out the perfect way I'm supposed to trust in a perfect relationship. I don't think that's the point. I think the point of exploring the idea is to consider it deeply and ask myself, for me, as you might for you, how does this function in my life? And do I want to change it? Is it functioning well, or are there some things that are keeping me from being the truly loving, authentic, beautiful me that I can be in the world? And if I'm not trusting a situation with somebody, how do I articulate what it is I'm not trusting? If I need to set boundaries to make it safe, for example. Or if I need to communicate when you respond to me in that way, I don't feel safe to, or I don't trust that I can share my truth with you next time. Because this is, just because you have a twin flame connection doesn't mean you have a healthy dynamic. And I think that there are lots of other relationships that can function absolutely perfectly without deep trust, without that kind of depth of trust. I think there's a kind of trust, but not a deep, me deeply. I've shown you the parts of myself that I don't show anybody. I barely even admit them to myself, right? Because they're scary to me. But here's the thing about healing and twin flames. You do heal each other. So in learning how to create that safety, a person can then explore because they feel like you're there to catch them. There's a container to hold them. There's a nest, and they'll be safe. They can trust that you can hold that space while they do some dirty work. Maybe they show some sides of themselves that they've never felt comfortable exposing before. So that's what I got to. That trust is, there's a mutuality about it, that it's about creating safety, that it's built over time. And for me, it's really easy, for me personally, it's very easy to trust the divine or trust life or trust the future or trust that. All that is super easy for me. My challenge is in the work with other people, but it's in relationships that we're doing a lot of our healing. It's part of the reason we have them. Even friendships. So that's the message from me today. Let's find out what Spirit has to say. This comes from the Goddess Oracle by Amy Sophia Mershinsky and Frana Janto. I'm out of my box. And there's that. So, oh no, what did I do with my... Oh no, let's just do it this way. Dear Spirit of the universe of love and light, please be with us in this time and space as we seek guidance on our journeys to self-healing and self-mastery. We ask for open hearts and open minds to receive the messages for our highest and best good, in service of love in all forms, with deep gratitude. Thank you. Spirit, would you please give us one goddess energy for today? One goddess that's working with us. It's about trust, safety. Okay. The Arrhenius crisis. Interesting. Arrhenius crisis. Hope I'm saying that right. Erinyes. Arrhenius or Arrhenius. Well, there's nothing like, bringing two people together in trust, right? Then a crisis. That'll do it. The Arrhenius crisis. We snap you, crack you, flapjack you. We are the wild, chaotic place, that sharp edge, the point that activates your fears, the point of no return, the point where everything can happen. We always demand your death or complete surrender. You can't go get beyond us, around us, or over us. You must meet us and go through us. We are the cosmic steamroller, the place of greatest opportunity. We are crisis. The Arrhenies were the forces of retribution personified as three immortal dark maiden goddesses. They took revenge and punished anyone who killed their kin in matriarchal pre-Hellenic Greece. The poet Aeschylus' play, the Orestes, the son of Clytemnestra and Agamemnon, kills his mother, thus enraging the Arrhenies who go after him. When his trial results in a deadlock, Athena, goddess of wisdom, is called on to cast the deciding vote. Her vote set Orestes free from any punishment for the matricide. The Arrhenies, unappeased, demanded vengeance. Athena consoled them with promises of special rituals in their honor. They are then renamed the Eumenides, or kindly ones. The Arrhenies are howling after you because you and or a loved one are in crisis. The way to nurture wholeness for you now lies in reaching out and asking for help. Whether it is from the human, animal, or spiritual kingdoms, help is required at this juncture of excess, psyche-breaking stress, and instability. Identify and name the kind of crisis you are in. If your crisis is psychological, call a crisis hotline or make an appointment with a healer of psyches. If your crisis is a financial or job-related, seek financial assistance or find a career counselor. If it involves your health, visit a healthcare practitioner. It is vital for you to get help and support you need, for you are not in a place where you can help yourself. Do something. Or ask a friend or loved one to do it for you. Crisis in your life also brings the experience of crisis into the lives of your loved ones. Don't blame yourself or try to take care of them. Be selfish. Deal with your crisis and then let them deal with theirs. The Arrhenies say all crises are accelerated growth transformation points that bring opportunities. However, before you get to the opportunity, you must get through the crisis. And for that, you must reach out for help. that's about trust too. Because the kind of crisis that's being described here in the explanation is really about the kind that is a deeply personal crisis. For example, being addicted to drugs and alcohol and becoming overwhelmed with that, having an overwhelming addiction, or feeling suicidal, being depressed, and not being able to make clear choices for yourself. Whatever the crisis is, whether it's with you or with somebody very close to you, it can be hard to trust to ask for help, which is a good reason to build your bridges of trust with people in times when you're not in crisis. Think now who you really do trust to turn to in times of crisis. Is there someone? If you really needed help, you were in a really bad situation, maybe you screwed up really big, you got arrested, you got in a car accident, something happened that was big, and you're in crisis, who do you know that you could reach out to who would come to help without question? That's a person to build trust with. You already have trust. So worth investing in that relationship even more. And if there's no one in your life currently, know where the support networks are in the community, right? Like the crisis hotline. There are many of them. And there are even places online where you can go to get help. But I know I've been in some pretty dark places, and even my friends, I didn't feel like I could ask for help. That's the crazy thing, especially about depression. It's not logical. You're not thinking with your logical mind. And when you're spiraling downward, it can feel like you don't want to trust anybody because you're ashamed. It's really about how you're feeling about yourself. So it's interesting that that card came out. I'm going to take that as a sign that somebody listening might need help. And so I just want to offer that if you're in that position, please reach out to me. Please email me. My email is in the description so that I can find you help if you need it. Okay? I'm not a licensed mental health counselor, but I am somebody with good resources. And I am somebody who will find you the help you need. Okay? Yeah. So, and you know what? There's no reason why you should trust me. You'll just have to go with your gut. Okay, so from Spirit Messages today, John Holland's deck, Spirit Messages. I would get one message from Spirit. Spirit, can you please give me one message for the collective today? Just one, please. Oh, okay. Study. Spirit has its own special way of letting you know that it's time to study again. From time to time, it's important to go back and learn, whether that's learning old things in a new way or learning something totally new. This is an opportunity to expand your mind. I love that picture too with the butterflies, coming out of her mind, that mind expansion, all the books in there, transformation. Lots of things to study, including, of course, there's so many books. Oh my gosh. I guess I moved them. There's a lovely book called Love by Leo Buscaglia. Highly recommend. You could read The Little Prince. You could go on Udemy and take some courses. They often run them on sale for $9.99. You can learn to read tarot cards. You can learn about crystals to help with healing. So many ways to learn. And really, these days, so easy to do it. It's just at your fingertips, really. And if you want things with certification, that's available on Udemy and other online sites. It doesn't have to cost too much even. Udemy is filled with all kinds of beautiful courses for when they go on sale for $9.99 or $10. So, crisis and study. These two cards together make me wonder if somebody is in a financial crisis and does need to go back to work. Or if there's somebody watching who might be very good at helping people in crisis. And so what you might do is study being a 911 operator, or you might be very good at that and be able to volunteer your time at a crisis line, for example. So you might look into that as something that would work for you for your mission. If you're good at helping people, you're good at listening, you're good at staying calm, maybe you've been through a lot of crises in your life, and one of the things that you've learned, crises in your life, and one of the things you've learned is how to assist people in a crisis. That's one of the most beautiful parts of anybody's life. Is sometimes the most difficult things we go to actually transform into our greatest gifts that we can offer to others. It's true for me. So if you want to make an affirmation for the day, you might say, I reach out for help when I'm in crisis. I know who I can trust in a time of crisis. Maybe today what you do, if you know you get into those places, I used to, is you make yourself a plan right now so that if that happens again, you've got that person's name. You say to yourself, next time I get in that place where I don't want to get out of bed for over 24 hours and I don't have any food in the house, I promise myself now that I will reach out to, put that person's name down. You could even call them ahead of time and say, hey, it's hard to talk about, but sometimes I get into these moods where I start spiraling downward, and I'm not in one right now, but if I ever get in one, could I reach out to you? Like, you can actually, make a plan for how you will handle that. You could study what the resources are that's available and get yourself a little, a bunch of numbers that you could put right, where you have easy access to it so that you can reach out. Or find online forums that you can reach out to when you're in crisis like that. That's one way to combine these two, right? I let myself research and study and find information on what is important to me. Or I'm still learning and growing. I'm always learner. I'm a lifelong learner. That would be a beautiful affirmation. I am a lifelong learner. I love learning. Of course, easy for me to say. I'm kind of a little learning addict. So that's it for the day. I appreciate that you showed up and thought about trust with me and listened to me as I read from The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I hope you have a really beautiful day. Bye.